Okay, and we're back. I've got some Loctite. It's Thunder Tiger 222 thread locking compound. It's leftover from either the Raptor 50 or one of the mini Titans that I own. But either way, Loctite is essentially Loctite. Just make sure if you go to an auto parts store, you do not buy the super strong or the strong version. They will not come apart. All you need is light or at most medium. If you use higher, the bolts will bind so tightly that you'll probably damage all of your components trying to release them. On an electric there is not much vibration anyway, so it's not that critical. Also, the smaller your thread, the less strong you need your Loctite to be for it to have the same amount of lock. So, you have your screw on the end of your driver, and you bring your Loctite in, and you just squeeze a little bit on it. You don't need very much. Okay? I'll try and get a better shot of that. There's just a little bit of red that you can sort of see. This camera is really annoying, just on the end of that screw. Now you grab that on the end of your driver. This is why I like the straight drivers, like I was talking before. I don't like the ball head drivers for things like this, because they have a tendency to roll off the end of the driver as you're trying to put them in place. So you grab your frame with your screw on the end of your driver, make sure your holes are lining up good, and just put the screw into place and tension her up. Put this one in nice and tight. Good rule of thumb is, whatever you can do with your thumb and forefinger, just like that. That's enough force. When your finger is starting to slip on the driver, that's enough. You do not want to use too much force, otherwise you can and will strip your components. Not so much of an issue on these parts because they're nice and strong. However, plastic parts, you will damage them. So now that we've put that side in, we come back to the other side and pull out this screw. The one that we put in before without the Loctite, just to help it locate, so we can put the other one in nice and easy. Put a little bit of thread locker on it and grab it and we put it in its place. Okay, so that's done. Next thing we need to do, we need to grab the motor. This one here is an Align 430X 3550 kV. It has colour-coded wires which match up to the colour-coded wires on the speed controller, and if you do use Align components, if you match the colours up with the speed controller and the motor, I've never had a problem of where the motor has spun backwards from the start. Not a big issue, but just a little thing makes it a nice sort of build. However, not a big issue whatsoever. Now when you get your first new motor, you've got this pinion on it, that drives your main gear. Okay, in that pinion you'll see a little grub screw in there, nice black grub screw. Now you slide your pinion down. Now on the Align motor, you want a little bit of the shaft sticking through over the top of the pinion or flush. Different motors are different with different length shafts. What you have to do when you mount it up and you have your main gear in, you slide your pinion up and down so that your main gear intermeshes on this nice flat part here. You want the top of the pinion about half a mil or a mil higher than the top of the main gear, and you do not want the bottom of the main gear coming past the straight sides down the bottom of the pinion and they flare out. You do not want it coming past to where they flare out. It will damage your main gear. So you put your little grub screw in with thread locker and do it up nice and tight. I also damaged a shaft on the end of the motors on all of my stuff, and I put on really strong Loctite onto there as well to sort of glue the pinion onto the shaft too. I have had problems with the grub screws biting, but under severe pitch pumping they do spin, which is a very bad thing because you lose a lot of power and you can start to plough into the ground. So now we grab this driver. This one here is a 2 mil driver, I do believe it is. and we unscrew this one. I just put those bolts in there to store the motor while I was doing the other stuff and pulling the helicopter apart. Now, you mount your motor up underneath like such and put your screws in.